So recently I've been playing Blue Protocol. I put in about 40 hours on Steam, so I played essentially a full week's working a full-time job into this game. So I have a decent knowledge on how the game works, some of the systems. I played some of the endgame content. I got to around like level 57 on my main, which is the Stormblade type class, and then I've also made an ult character that I got to level 56, which is the marksman hunter type class. So I got a good experience and kind of knowledge on the game so far, and so I kind of want to just talk about whether or not the game's actually worth playing. So the first thing we'll probably need to talk about is, of course, the classes. So there are a different variety of classes in the game. There's DPS, tank, and healers like your standard MMORPG, and then each class has two specs you can choose from. So for example, like the Frost Mage, it has the Icicle spec, and then it also has the Frost Beam spec, and you can kind of choose, and each one has a little bit of a different play style. So first one is Stormblade. This is my personal main, which is a DPS, of course, melee class. Then you have Frost Mage, which is your ranged DPS. Wind Knight, which is a DPS class with a spear. Oracle, which is your typical healer class. Heavy Guardian, which is your tank. Marksman is your ranged DPS, non-magic, like more like bow and arrow. Shield Knight is another kind of like I think it's like a hybrid of tank and DPS, but I've seen a lot of players use it as a tank. And then the Beat Performer is a really unique one where you're actually playing the guitar and you're playing music, and that's your damage. So this is a really unique one that I think I've only seen it. I believe Lost Ark has one, and I think Blade and Soul Live has like a version of this where you're like a musical instrument class, but you actually do like ranged DPS. And this one can also give like buffs, so it's kind of like a support type class, but also you can do some ranged DPS. When you get past level 40, there's a talent system right here where you can choose your different abilities, and then you get to decide on what spec you want to go into, which I talked about earlier. So one of the biggest weaknesses of Blue Protocol is really the early game storyline. I feel like is very boring. The way they design it is that they don't really show off the combat of the game, and the interesting part is that combat is one of the best parts of Blue Protocol. It's very good action combat, but when you're doing these story quests, a lot of them is you run to one NPC, you talk to them, and then you run back to the same NPC, you talk to them, then you run to this other NPC, talk to them, and then after maybe like 15-20 minutes you get to fight like a mob or two. And so the way they design these quests is they make them really boring, where you're just literally NPC talking simulator running back and forth. Really what they should have done to make this early game more interesting is introduce more boss fights, more mob fights, and also have you group up with more different players. Because while there is a little enemy fight here in the very beginning, it's very sparse. You don't really fight that many mobs in the storyline. A lot of times you're just going back and forth spamming the F button and skipping the narrative from the NPC. And so this is a really big turnoff for a lot of players, and you'll see in the Steam reviews that a lot of people kind of got turned off from playing the game because it's just so boring in the early stages. Besides the cons of the main storyline, once you actually get started in the game and you progress through the story, I will say it's not going to take too long, which is one of the good points because, again, it is quite boring. The combat is one of the best combats I've played in a while for a new MMORPG. It is action combat. It's not as good as Black Desert or Blade and Soul, but it's definitely a very good combat system. I feel like it feels very good when you're playing a melee class. When I'm playing my hunter class, it feels good on ranged DPS as well. It's very quick and responsive. Really, I can't complain about this action combat. I feel like it's very solid. Way better than Throne and Liberty, which came out last year. Like, in terms of new MMORPG, this combat feels very good, very fluid. Another key point of one of the biggest pros for me is honestly just the movement system in this game. It has some of the best movement I've felt in an MMORPG in a while. Like, being able to just run around and jump and fly, you feel so floaty, like you feel like you weigh nothing, like you're able to just jump around and fly through the air. And it really makes it fun just to travel in the game. Honestly, you don't even need a mount type system. I don't even know why they made it when you're able to just jump and climb walls and everything so easily. Now here's a really good example where I literally just got off my mount and started dashing and jumping around because it just felt better to move in this game. Once you get past level 50, you unlock a lot of abilities like being able to run on walls, which is really helpful to be able to jump around areas. You also get like a double jump ability when you land. Just really key things to make the movement in this game feel so good. So the combat, the movement, and then even for me, the graphics are really nice. Some people won't like it because it's very anime styled, but if you don't mind anime or you even watch anime, this is going to be another pro for you. So those three things are really the biggest things that really make me enjoy this game. Is the combat feels good, the movement feels amazing, and then the graphics look great. The world looks really beautiful. There's really interesting places to go. One of my favorite things is like this, just to literally jump around and just fly and glide through the air. That feels great. And a lot of MMORPGs really don't have this type of system where it actually feels like a chore to run, and you can't wait till you get your mount because it just feels so annoying to run around. You like lose stamina quickly. You definitely can't run on walls. Again, this is more of like a niche thing, and maybe some people won't like being able to do these type of things, but I think it adds a really cool flavor to the game where you can just kind of like traverse through any environment, just flying through the sky. In terms of content, there's actually a lot of content in this game. Some of the main things you can do at more endgame once you finish that main storyline. The storyline will actually get you around like level 54, almost 55, I believe, if I can remember correctly, and the level cap is level 60. So kind of like the endgame grind is gained to level 60 because the main storyline won't get you to that point. And once you get level 60 is when you unlock the more core actual endgame content. But even for me, I haven't got to level 60. I got to level 57 so far. And then my old character is level 55, 56, I believe. So I've kind of played two different characters, which another thing I want to talk about is not really needed because with this game, you can actually change classes. So this is a big thing that a lot of people don't even know about. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 14 in the sense that you can actually change your class. So for example, I am the Stormblade class, and there's actually a quest I can do. I'm planning to do the Beat Performer class because it's very interesting to me. You can go to unlock, and there's actually a quest to unlock the class, so you can actually switch classes. The big thing to mention though is it's not as good as Final Fantasy 14 because in that game you can literally just swap your weapon and you change your class, where in this game it actually costs resources and also you have to level up skills again, so it's actually way more grindy to do, which unfortunately is kind of a downfall of it. I do think still it's a very cool system because it makes it so you don't really need to have old characters. I wish that was something I kind of knew ahead of time because I leveled another class for kind of no reason, but I guess there's benefits of like life skilling you can use on a second character because you're kind of time gated on your energy cap when you use life skilling abilities. So old character isn't completely useless, but of course you can kind of do everything on your main, even change classes, which is pretty cool of a system. In terms of content, which I was talking about a little bit earlier, once you finish the main storyline, there is various different activities you can do. One of the main ones is called Unit Eds, which is kind of like a group party finder with a very short boss fight. They usually last a minute, but gives you a bunch of good loot. You're in a party with a bunch of players, and you get to literally just fight the boss. You don't have to fight a bunch of trash mobs and run around the dungeon. You literally just fight the boss, get the loot, and then you dip out. You can do that 2 times a day. One of the things with this game is it is very daily and time gated, where like there's certain things you can't do. Even with the main storyline, that's one of the flaws where literally for the past week they've been drip feeding the main storyline where you can't even progress all the way through. And with this boss fight, you can do it 2 times a day, and then after that you don't get any rewards. Besides that, they also have things like monster hunts, which you look for like boss mobs that you can find, and when you find them you get a ton of loot. You attract them in the open world and they spawn at various times. You'll see like a lot of players searching for them. There's also things like trial paths, which are basically kind of, if you've ever played Blade and Soul, like Mushin's Tower, where like you're in a solo instance and you're fighting a mob, and then you go to another level, you kill that mob, then you go to the next level, and you kind of just keep progressing through the levels, and they get more difficult over time. So it's kind of like a solo instance dungeon type of thing. Again, they have life skilling, which I haven't even got into myself personally, but that's like a whole different system on its own. They also have fishing, which honestly is not very interesting at all, but what MMORPG actually has good fishing? I can't even think of one. They also have endgame dungeons you can do. There's also these type of instances where NPC will spawn in this open world, and then at certain times you can group up and help it kill mobs, and you'll see like a big rush of players all at one time, and then you have to kill like this endgame boss, which is like really powerful. That takes a ton of players to kill in the open world. So there's really a lot of content to do, and even though a lot of it is very daily gated, whereas like you can only do it 2 or 3 times a day, for me, I don't need to play more than that. Like if I can just do 2 runs a day, I'm good. If I do another thing, there's so much content to do already that I don't need to be able to just spam it over and over. At least for me, because I work and everything. Maybe if you have more free time, it could be annoying having that daily gated type of system. But for me, it actually works out pretty well. So the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, the monetization, kind of the elephant in the room. The game is pay to win. It's very gacha. If you've ever played Genshin Impact, then you're going to be familiar with this type of game. It has gacha pay to win type systems. There's various things you can buy to help you get ahead, upgrade materials, loot, just things to help you progress faster with your gearing. Of course, there is cosmetics, which I have no issue with that. I think that's perfectly fine. And I actually really like the costume system. If you go into the store, there's a bunch of different costumes you can buy. They also have a cool thing right here, which is like 90% off costumes that you can get for insanely cheap. Also, the game does give you some free costumes throughout the story, which is another really pro benefit of the game, at least. But the game is pay to win, and that's kind of to be expected. You know, it is an Eastern MMORPG, and it's free to play. If it wasn't pay to win, I would be absolutely shocked. So I was really expecting this. It's really just how bad is the pay to win. There's also like a monthly membership you can do. And this is not by account, by the way. So if you buy this on one character and you have an old character, you won't get the benefits of it. So another reason why this game is not really that old friendly. Trying to make you buy it on a second character is insane, but maybe they just want you to only play on one character. I guess that could be the thing. But another thing that really bothers me is I hate these type of systems where they have like essentially a bound version. This is like the currency you use to buy with in real life money, this one right here. And so you go right here, the rose orb, you can spend money and buy it. But you can also earn it in game, but guess what? It's the bound version. It's the non-cash shop version. So you can still buy some things with it, but you can't buy like costumes with it. Like if you want to buy, let's say you want to buy this costume and you had, like look at me right here. I have 6,000 of these, so I should be able to buy this costume, right? Well, no, I don't have the actual bound version. I can't buy it. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't. So I have the free-to-play version. I think that's a totally crappy system. They should not have this type of system. It feels crappy. You should just be able to earn rose orbs in the game and be able to buy costumes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If anything, players will be more invested in your game. So this type of system where they have like a bound type version and then a non-bound type version, I absolutely hate. I think this is a crappy system. So that's one of the biggest flaws for me. The last couple of cons I really have with the game besides the cash shop is I don't like the fact that they don't have EU servers. Now, I don't play on EU myself, so it doesn't really directly affect me. I play on NA. But the fact that you don't have EU servers for a brand new MMORPG is actually insane. Like, you're basically alienating thousands of players that would normally play your game from EU from not playing your game, because they're going to be like, why would I play on NA and I'm in EU? My ping is going to be freaking ridiculous. I've never seen an MMORPG launch and not have an EU server, ever. I've never seen that. Even the most dead games have EU servers. Blade & Soul Live has like under 1,000 players and has an EU server. Like, it's insane to not have an EU server. So that is one thing where I'm like, what the heck are they doing? I don't know what the idea was with that. Another con is the fact that the game is on mobile. So that's going to naturally turn a lot of players away, because any game that has a mobile version is going to be developed for mobile and PC at the same time. So there's features in the game that they have to make dumbed down for the phone, because if you don't, you can't play it on the phone. So this is a really big con of the game, because when you show players, hey, I have a really cool MMORPG, but also you can play it on your phone, I think it really turns people away and it makes the game more shallow. So that's really a con for me. I think if they wanted to make a mobile version, you could do it the Black Desert way, where you have Black Desert on PC, you have Black Desert on console, and then you have a Black Desert mobile version. That's perfectly fine. But when this game launches and is available to play on the PC and your phone, and I've tried it on the phone, it means that whenever they develop content, it's going to be dumbed down for the phone. And so I think this is a major con for the game, and then just a major con for the player base, because it turns away a lot of players. Maybe for some people they don't mind, but for me, I think this is definitely a bad move. Of course, for the company, they've probably made a ton of money having it on the phone for like the cash shop and stuff, so definitely they don't really regret it financially. But I think for the long-term health of the game, this will actually be a negative for it. Overall, my thoughts on the game is I definitely think it's worth playing. It's free to play, so you can't really, hurt anything by playing it. And I feel like the combat alone is very good. The graphics are great. The movement feels amazing. There are a lot of more pros in this game than cons. There's a lot of really negative reviews, and I definitely think the game deserves some negative feedback on certain things, but I don't think it's a terrible brand new MMORPG. I've seen way worse games come out over the years, like Elion, like complete garbage MMORPG. This is a great free-to-play MMORPG, and I think if they release the content well and don't make it just fully pay-to-win garbage and just milk the player base too hard, it will have a niche audience that lasts for years. I can easily see this game sustaining 10 to 15,000 players, no problem. Will it have 50 to 60,000 like it has right now? I highly, highly doubt it. But it will have at least an audience for a very long time if they plan it out well and release good content. So that's really my thoughts on the game. It's definitely worth picking up. I'm going to make more guides on it because right now I'm enjoying it. Once I get to level 60, I'm at level 57 right now. I'll make more endgame content guides, but I just haven't got to that point yet. Anyways, thank you guys for watching the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and maybe I'll see you in Blue Protocol. I'm out.